don't really think of myself as an artist. And that's not a condescending or self-deprecating thing to myself, of course. It is because I really feel like I'm more of an illustrator. You know, I don't know that anything I've ever done is fine art, but I think I've done a lot of illustrating. But it doesn't mean I don't try. And don't worry, I'm not feeling bad about my skills or my lack of skills. I'm just saying that sometimes a piece of art like this one feels to me to be more of an illustration, like for a children's book, than it does a work of art. Sometimes I think my illustrations come out artsy looking, but I think in my heart I'm an illustrator. Robin, on the other hand, is an artist. I mean, a true artist. I mean, all of her paintings look artsy. They look very painterly. As try as I like to, as try as I want to, as try as I might, whatever the expression is. Sometimes my art looks like illustrations, and that's not a bad thing. Hey, most art that you see is illustrations. Most art that's out there. You open up a children's book and you just love the artwork, right? And it is artwork. But it's also an illustration. I don't know. I'm being picky on the two words. It's a semantics thing, right? It's a semantics thing. But at the same time, hey, this is a channel where I wanted to kind of hang out with you guys. I don't profess to be a teacher. I don't profess to be an expert. I don't profess to know everything about brushes or paints. And I'm not being self-deprecating, don't worry. All I'm trying to say is I'm enjoying doing this. You know, in my daily life when I was a younger man, I got up, I got in the shower, I got in the car, and I joined the rat race every single day. And now that I'm retired, I get to do this with you every morning. And I love it. I sit here, you can't tell I'm drinking coffee, but I am. My NYC cup, it's got coffee in it. Decaf. My heart doctor told me, decaf. But, you know, to sit here and do these cards, and this will go to somebody. There's got to be somebody in my list of people who I love, who I know, or who are somebody who is somebody who knows somebody who I love. It could be like several generations away from me. But this card will find somebody who loves gardening maybe. Or maybe it'll go to a little girl or a little boy. Just somebody who loves gardening. All right, enough of that. I will tell you the challenge on this one was the backlighting. The backlighting around the little girl, and of course the water coming out of the can, which had to be the white of the paper, although I did cheat and add some white gouache later on. But anyway, I've talked long enough in this intro. I hope you're enjoying your art. I hope you're enjoying your cup of coffee or your cup of tea. And I really, really appreciate the fact that you visit me on this channel and leave me little notes. And it's very, 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 very cool. I'm not jumping in my car. Thank goodness, because today my car's in the shop. See that? If I was working today, I wouldn't have been able to go in. Yes, I would. Robin would have driven me in. Or I could have hitchhiked. No. I did hitchhike when I was a kid. One time I hitchhiked to the beach. It was 8 miles away. It was on Long Island. Anybody who lived on the south shore of Long Island near Jones Beach, I bet you hitchhiked when you were younger too. But anyway, here we go. Let me show you how I painted this little girl watering her flowers. And thank you for being there. All right, let's do this. All right, let's get started. Little girl watering her flowers with a watering can. I have a watering can too. I do. And I water the plants that Robin has on the porch. And I sit on the porch sometimes. I actually sit on the porch a lot. So it's kind of one of the things I noticed about getting older is that you sit and look at the world a lot more than maybe I did when I was younger. I watch the birds a lot. I watch the squirrels a lot. You have to look at nature and wonder. Just wonder so many things. And here in Florida we have lots of lizards. In South Florida they have large iguanas. We don't have them. We have the little guys. They call them anoles. A-N-O-L-E. And they are everywhere. They just become part of the experience of living. All those little anoles. I kind of sometimes wish they would be friendly, like they would come up to me and say, "Hey, how you doing?" It's not the way it works. Maybe if I raised one from being a little baby. I have seen baby lizards. Oh yes, all the time. They are so small. They are so tiny little guys. And yet, I've watched them catch bugs. It's kind of incredible, really, to see a little tiny lizard catch a bug. And you know that little lizard probably was just hatched. It probably hatched out of an egg, a lizard egg, you know? I'm guessing. Probably just born. And they already know how to catch bugs. Just trying to make sure I catch this, capture this little child's face. I just want to make sure I get that right before I go any farther. Speaking of little things, this is just a little tiny lip. A little tiny child watering her plants. Yeah, this is taking a little bit of sketching here, but I think this is the most important part of the sketch right here. And I want her to be backlit, so I'll have a lot of light that has to be considered. A lot of the paper of the card actually will be the white. Just try and get this little girl. Little girl watering her garden, her little garden. Little watering can. Watering cans are magical. What do you think? What do you think I mean by that? What do I think I mean by that? I'm not sure what I mean by that. They just seem... There's something intriguing about a watering can. Again, I'm not getting this correct. I'll get it. Give me a little couple tries here and I'll get it. Maybe the eye should be bigger. Little tiny nose. I heard a dog outside. I wonder where is a dog outside? We used to have coyotes in our area. I haven't heard a coyote here in a long time. That wasn't a coyote though, that was a dog. A domestic dog. I love dogs too. There's a couple of plants on the porch that I'm going to say let you know when they're thirsty. I mean, they will start to droop their heads, droop their leaves. But I will tell you this, I am not an expert at gardening. Oh no, I am not. I just put water on them. No, that's not true. I have put, what do you call that stuff? Miracle Grow? Yeah, I don't put too much on. They come in these little, like little sleeves, little packets. And you're supposed to put one for a whole gallon of water. So that's what I do. And I only do it now and then. So don't yell at me for doing too much, because I don't do too much. I don't do it too much. A little tiny nose. Why am I getting this? Why does this not look right? Can't get this face for some reason. Our house faces, the front of the house faces east. So the back of the house where the porch is faces west. So I get to see the sun setting. And there's a house behind us. So it sets behind the house. There we go. I guess that's as good as it's going to get, right? There we go. Now we got to get that watering can in there. It's going to be really big for her. Big watering can. Too big for her. Too big for her little hands. Just a simple watering can. I have to make sure it's shiny. Trying to think how my watering can looks. Here's our watering can. Now we're making progress. Now we're making progress with our little girl watering her flowers. Her little shoes. And then the watering. The idea of watering. Let's see, maybe her other hand is over here, holding it up. That's her other hand. And then, of course, the water will be coming out. And behind her will be her flowers. Her flowers are behind her. And another darker layer, because I want to contrast her face with the background. So I'll just kind of put a little line there. And then back here, we want this where the light is coming from. We still want it dark, but we want this area right here to be like where the light's coming from, to light her up. And then over here, some of these foreground areas, that's going to be darker. And here's the magical part where the flowers are. So I'll put some flowers over here. I am only drawing them in because I'm afraid if I don't, I'm going to forget. When I'm putting the paint down, I have a tendency sometimes to forget. I think this girl should have longer ponytail. Let's have a ponytail that comes all the way down there. Okay. Alright, I think we're ready to start with her. I'm going to start with a small brush. There's a lot of detail on this one, I think, especially on her face. So I'm going to start with orange and work from there. Maybe orange and red mixed together. We'll just start with that. Make sure we get her cheeks. Just get this colored in. I can always add darkness to it. And her little hand. And this hand here. And a little bit of her leg. There we go. Let's get some brown, a little bit of brown. Put it in her hair. Let me get these different colors here. I know it seems weird, but if you mix orange with green, you get a little bit of that brown hair color. We gotta remember to keep it light on the edge, because I want the light to be coming at her from behind her. Here we go. Okay. A little bit of shadow here on her hand, on her arm, and her leg definitely has some shadow on it. And this hand also. There we go. Now let's get her watering can. Make her watering can a nice blue can. a blue watering can. It's painted in there. Get some shadows and some reflections. Get it very light on the front of it here. Make it lighter. There we go. Now we can extend the darkness over this way a little bit. And of course the spout. The spout where you pour the water out. I hope I get the water right. Okay. Get a little, very little darkness here for the bottom of her shoe. Get some of that shadowy there for the shoe. Let the shoe be white mostly. And if we get some, her dress maybe, her dress could be a darker red. Only so that it contrasts with the watering can. Make it a little bit darker when the shadow's here. See if I can get this darker, a little bit darker. Maybe a purple. On the inside of her dress, a little bit shaded. Some folds in the dress. Some shadows under her arm. Let's get some super light. Mix it with a little bit of white gouache, I think, to bring the color down to a light pink and water it down. It's very watery. get some more of that purple in there to give more of these folds. There's a dog. There's a dog again. There's a dog out there somewhere. Okay, let's get some more of this brown. Make her leg a little darker. Make her hair a little darker too. There we go. Now a lot of what's going to happen here, I can make her neck a little bit darker too. A lot of what's going to happen here is that her sunlight from behind her will be giving her some backlit. Okay, now we can add a little bit more darkness to that. Some of these shadowed areas on this watering can. A little bit of definition there. Okay. Trying to create the sense of some shadows on her sleeves and on the fabric of her dress. There we go. Now we got the can a little bit more reflective looking, I think. What do you think? All right. Now her eyes. First of all, her hair, I think, should be a little bit darker. The secret to dark is, I think, to just add in layers. Add more color to it. A little bit at a time. Kind of helps to make it look a little bit richer when you add colors to it. Color on top of color. A little bit of shadow there. All right, now I think what I want to do I want to use this pen to get her eyes because it's very small and I could easily mess up. I could mess up with the pen too. There's a little hint of an eye there. Maybe a little more definition in her ear. Here we go. Just a little more definition, I think, on some of these things. It is, after all, an illustration, so. Just little hints of lines, I think, won't hurt. Alright, that's all I'm going to do with the pen. Now, now the back of it has to start happening. Well, we want her hair to be backlit. So I'm going to use a slightly larger brush. I'm going to go for the darkest greens I can find. Right back here. And remember to keep her hair backlit. So let's just do that right now. Make it as dark as I can. And then slightly lighter as I get closer. She's got a little bit of a flyaway thing happening with her hair, and I have to do that with the white of the paper. Yeah. Get that orange, I mean that green. Orange. Sometimes I confuse my colors. I want to do the same thing in front of her. Same thing. All around her hair. that white area, like a little space right there. Just keeping it backlit, that's the idea. Alright, let me get to the other side of the paper. Be a little less tedious. I want this area here to be dark. Gotta remember the water's coming out there too. Alright, now let's go for the more orangish areas here. A little bit of orange because this is where the sun's coming through. And it's brightening up the leaves in the background. Can you see that? Is that okay? Hopefully it's focused. Alright, let me lighten it up. It's kind of a mixture of green and orange. I'll try and throw some yellow in there too. We want it very lit. That's where the sun is coming from. Right now the next layer should be a lighter yellow, a lighter green, almost like a yellow green. Still want it to be dark. We still want her to be lighter than it. So we can bring that right up to her. This has to be darker than her. I want this area to be darker, the darkest area. And down here it's also going to be dark, but not as dark. That's a challenge right there. Whoa. Let me start over here. Lighten it up a little bit. I think here we have to continue with that backlit look, and then around her face she has hair that is backlit. It's falling down around her face. I want the top of that can also to be lit. Get that green in there. And that water's got to be coming right out of there. So I've got to remember that water. Get this a little bit yellower and yellower as I get closer to it. Okay. Now this right here, this is where we want it to be just yellow. We don't want much more than yellow right here. Very bright. Just layer it in. One little area at a time. Make sure we get that water coming, because the water's going to be white, of course. Okay, let's get the yellow back in here. That water's coming this way. Watering her garden, watering her flowers. There's the water. Right, now let's put some dark green again down here around her feet. Make this real dark down here. Get some of these foreground things poking into that light yellow area. Not sure what that would be. Maybe little plants, little leaves, little pieces of grass. This is a very dark area here where we get to see her feet a little bit better. If I can pull it off. Just get it dark. Can I add some shadows to her feet later on? I can see that that's necessary. Right now, this is all I need to do just to get this illusion that she's standing in the grass. All right, now we're at the edge of her garden. With the edge of her garden, this is where she's standing to water her plants. So we'll kind of mix it up here. All right, let's take a clean brush and a little brush, and let's put some bright red flowers in there, and we can work around them. There's a red flower. Put some purple flowers in here. Purple and red. I think that's what this little girl wants, is her little flowers to be purple and red. And the flowers should be lit too. Right now, let's take some of this green and yellow and kind of work the other areas here. Make sure we keep some white on top of these flowers. Get that There we go. It's coming together. It's happening. Okay, let's get back up here now. Make some of these areas that should be darker. Put some more darkness in them. I think we can start to see the illusion of a garden here, of leaves and little things. Alright, let me go back to the little girl now. Let me get another small brush. I feel like I can make this a little bit more leafy looking over here. Okay, now on her shoes, let's make those shoes a little bit more shadowed. I'm going to put a little bit of darkness in her hair, spread out that darkness a little bit. Okay, now some of that back color to define her hair a little bit more here, the flyaway hair. A bit more here to kind of create this leafy look. Get some yellow in there. Maybe the yellow should be a little bit darker in some places to make that water look a little bit more obvious. maybe her shoe needs to be a little bit darker. It shouldn't be so bright, I don't think. I'm not so sure yet about her feet. I feel like her feet need to be maybe in the grass more. Maybe that's what I'm messing up on. Yeah, there should be grass coming up onto her. Yeah, she's standing in the grass. That's what I needed to do. And maybe some of the pieces of grass here too. Yeah, that's what I needed. The magical vertical lines that I always talk about, and I forgot to put them in. Just some little wisps of magic. Yeah, I think that's what was needed over here. She's standing in the tall grass, watering her plants. She went out into the tall grass to water her flowers. That's what she did. I'm going to use a little bit of gouache. A little bit of gouache, I think, to fix some of these areas that I messed up on. Just a little bit. Plus the water, maybe from the watering can, could be. More defined. Little drops of water. That's what we were missing, these little drops. Drops coming from her watering can. And also the white around her hair. I want her backlit there. Those little wild flyaway hairs. Alright, let's get some white in here. I wanted it to be white behind her face where her hair was being backlit, but I didn't quite do it right with the paper. It's from the watercolor paper. So I'm going to use the white gouache to try to fix the problem. I wanted it to look better than it does. This has some flyaway hairs. I love when light hits hair from the back and you can see it flying away. There. You can almost see her nose. A little bit of light on her hand here, I think. A little bit more reflection on that can. A little bit more white on this side of her dress. Top of her hand. Some of these folds in her sleeve. All these areas could be, it looks like they could be helped with a little bit of white. This backlit part of her dress too. Maybe a little hint on her shoe. There's a little light getting down there. All right, let's get these water droplets in there now. I can exaggerate them a little bit, I think. Maybe put some little flowers in here that are a little bit of white flowers too. Sorry I'm taking so long on this one. Like the light coming from behind her neck. Oh my gosh, am I done? I think I'm going to call it done. I don't know that I'm going to be able to do much better than that, but it is what it is, as I always like to say. Let me just get this smeared around on the back. Maybe in this case the back would look good unsmeared, I don't know. Don't want to put that dark on the front of that card right there. That's where it needs to be light. I'm just gonna do that. No, I'm not worried about it. There we go. Now let me let it dry and I'll fold it and I'll be right back. Okay, well in this case the back of the card really doesn't blend with the front. And I didn't want it to because I wanted that very white area of the card right there. Well, what do you think? Little girl watering her flowers. Alright, well, I guess it's okay, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for watching and subscribing, and, oh, I didn't read the poem. Let me read the poem. It's a very short one. I'll let you look at the card while I read it. It's called My Garden by Thomas Edward Brown. And this is what he writes. A garden is a lovesome thing, God wot, rose plot, fringed pool, ferned grot, the veriest school of peace, and yet the fool contends that God is not God in gardens, when the eve is cool? Nay, but I have a sign, 'tis very sure God walks in mine. By Thomas Edward Brown. All right, talk to you later. Bye.